Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Massa Tutorials. Please do well to subscribe to this channel so that whenever I post any video, you'll be the first to receive it. Alright, we are coming to an end of our beloved topic, change of subjects. Change of subjects. So now we want to use this time or this period to solve more questions on what change of subject, so that when you come across any similar question, you'll be able to what solve it and solve it well. So please watch out and stay tuned. Alright, so let's start. We have this question: m minus root x equals k. M minus root x equals k. So we are making x the circled variable, x the subject. So how can we make x the subject in this relation, or in this expression, or in this equation, in this equation here? So m minus square root of x equals k. Now, I always tell you that the variable you are making the subject, make sure that what the variable is always what positive, and the variable you are making the subject, make sure that the variable is always at what the left hand side of the what equal sign. So now, as you can see here, square root of x is what? Negative, right? Alright, so I have to what? Send this square root of x to what? To the right hand side to become what? Positive. But you have to ask yourself first that how many terms here? We have one term, two terms, then what? Three terms. 1, 2, then what? 3. So we have 3 terms what? Here. So now I'll group like terms, right? I'll group what? I'll send the x to the what? Right hand side. The x to the what? Right hand side. Here they are what? Unlike terms, so we can group like terms. But rather we want what? Variable what? X to be the subject. To make a variable the subject means what? To make that variable to stand on its what? Own. So I get m equals k, then plus square root of what? X. So I've sent what? This square root of x to the right hand side. So now I've transposed the negative to what? Positive. Why am I saying this? Because if negative crosses the equal sign, it becomes what? Positive. And likewise, positive crosses the equal sign, it becomes what? Negative. So now, still, k is attaching itself to what? Square root of x. Meaning k is what? Adding itself to what? Square root of x. So what do? We don't divide, but rather we have to send this k to the left hand side. Are you getting it? Now, if they are multiplying, I said what? We divide. But if they are adding, you send 1 or you maintain 1. Do you understand that? So this one, k is adding itself to what? Square root of x. But we want x. So what do? We have to group like terms. So now k crosses the equal sign. So when it crosses the equal sign, or when k, positive k is transposed, we get what? Negative what? K. So positive k crosses the equal sign to be m minus k equals square root of what? X. So gradually we are getting this variable what? X. So as you can see, so positive k crosses the equal sign to the left hand side of that. So that's what? Negative what? K. Because here is what? Positive. Any variable or any value standing on its own is a positive variable. Are you getting it? Any variable standing on its own, right? Without having what? A negative sign attached to it is what? It's a positive variable or positive value. So if I have 2, then this one is what? Positive what? 2. Alright, let's proceed. Now, we want x, but not what? Square root of what? X. We want x, but not square root of x. So what do we do? I told you that if we have square root, how do we get rid of what? The square root? By taking what? By squaring what? Both sides of the what? Equation. So when you square both sides of the equation, then the square root goes off. So now you square both sides. So you square both sides. Square both sides of what? The equation. Right? Square both sides of the equation to remove what? The square root. So now I have minus m minus k, all what? Squared equals square root of x all squared. Right? So now this removes the square root. So I have m minus k all what? Squared equals what? X. So therefore we get x to be equal to m minus k all what? Squared. M minus k all squared. So now x is being made the subject here. So x equals what? M minus k. That's the expression inside the bracket. M minus k all what? Squared. Now if you want to open this bracket, it's very, very simple. You can also do it as that. So I have m minus k all squared. Now you know that this square or this 2 is affecting what? The bracket, right? So it means that m minus k is appearing how many times? 2 times. That's the bracket. So here, m minus k, one bracket, then another bracket, m minus what? K, right? So now I take this m to multiply the whole of this bracket, then I take this minus k to also multiply the whole of that bracket here. The same bracket. So now I have m out, m minus k. The minus k out what? M minus what? K. As that. So now I can open the bracket here, right? Which is what? M is multiplying with n. You can expand the bracket. M is multiplying m, and also m is multiplying with minus k. So I have m multiplying m, then minus m multiplying what? K. Right? Alright. Then here, minus k multiplying m. So I can draw plus. Here you can, if you don't want to be confused with a negative, I'm begging you, when you see negative, kindly drop what? Positive. Because negative times positive gives what? Negative. So don't be afraid. So drop the positive, then do it as what I'm doing. M times negative m. So m times negative k. That's it. M times negative k. Then here I have negative, so I'll drop what? My positive here. Right? So that's what? Minus k times what? M. So minus k multiplying m. Then still my plus again. I have minus k being multiplied by what? Minus k. So minus k is multiplying m as that, and then minus k being multiplied by what? Minus k. Right? So that's what I'm writing here. M times n. So I have x being equal to m times m, which is m squared. Then plus I have what? M times minus k, which is positive times negative gives what? Negative. So I'll get negative mk. Then plus minus k times m, which is negative times positive, still gives what? Negative mk. Then plus negative times negative gives what? Positive. I believe you can see negative times negative gives positive. So I get positive k squared. So please watch it very, very well. So we move as x equals m squared When positive and negative meet, they form what? Negative. The sign formed is what? Negative. Why? Because positive times negative gives what? Negative. So I have here to what? Negative mk. Then what? Here to what? Negative mk. Then here plus what? K squared. So we can proceed as, which implies that m squared, down here minus mk, which gives what? Minus 2mk. Why? Minus 1. The invisible number here is what? Minus 1. Then here is also what? Minus 1. So minus 1 plus minus 1, which is what? Negative what? 2. So minus 2mk. Then I have what? Plus k squared. So in exams, maybe you will end here, but when you check the possible answers, is this. So you have to what? Do the simplification yourself in order to get this as your final answer. So please watch it very carefully and go through what? The steps given. Alright, so let's move on to the second question. Let's move on to the second question. So we have t equals what? A on x plus what? B on x. T equals A on x plus B on x. Now, how many times here? We have 1, 2, 3. We are making what? The subject. X, the subject. The circled variable. So now, how do we go about this? So you ask yourself, what is the LCM? The LCM is what? X. Why? Because, watch here, if I have 3 equals 1 on 2 plus 1 on 2. Or, let's forget about this 3 here. 1 on 2 plus 1 on 2. You can say that what? The LCM is what? 2. And also, somebody can say that the LCM is 4. Why? Because, why is it 2? Because 2 goes into itself how many times? 1. Do you understand that? Aha. So 2 goes into itself how many times? 2 times, sorry. 2 goes into itself 2 times. Then here, you can take the LCM to what? 4. Somebody can choose to what? Multiply 2 times what? 2. But when you check the LCM, the least common multiple, the answer should be what? 2. Because if you are using the successive division method, the successive division method, if you are using the successive division method, we only use prime numbers here. So 2. 2 goes into 2 how many times? 1 time. Do you understand that? So here we take what? The LCM to what? 2. And somebody can take the LCM to be 4. Only if and only if you do it well, you all get what? The same answer. Because it will get to a point you what? Reduce the fractions there. Do you understand that? So if and only if you do it well, you have no problem. Alright, so now somebody can take the LCM to what? X squared, because x times x gives what? X squared. From the laws of indices, we state that what? If they have the same what? Base and they are what? They are multiplying, what do we do to the exponent? We add the exponent. So now I can say that the LCM can do what? X squared, or the LCM can do what? X. If and only if you do it well, you get the same answer. Alright, so LCM, I take the best option or the best answer, which is what? X, because X goes into X how many times? One time. X on X. X here 1. So X goes into itself what? 1. Do you understand that? Alright, so let's move on. So here, I said that 2 goes into itself 2 times. Sorry, 2 goes into itself 1 time. So don't be confused. 2 goes into itself 1 time. Because 2 times 1 gives what? 2. 2 times 1 gives 2. So 2 goes into itself what? 1 time. Alright, 1. So 1 time. So now, LCM is what? X. Because X goes into itself 1. So now, I use the LCM to multiply what? Each of the term. Don't forget, if you have something like this, please identify the terms before, and you take the LCM, then use it to multiply what? Each term. In order for this denominator to what? To be cancelled or to go away. So I have what? T multiplying X. So in brackets equals X multiplying A on X as that, then plus X multiplying B on X as that. So X cancels what? X. Then X cancels what? X, right? So I have T times X, which is what? Tx equals, here is 1, right? So 1 times A, you write what? A, not 1A, please. 1 times A gives what? A, right? 1 times A gives A. Because here A, it has what? An invisible number, which is what? 1. So it's the same thing. Then plus, here's 1. 1 times B is what? B, not 1B. It's still what? B. Because the invisible number here is what? 1. Alright, so now we want X as the subject here. So what do we do? Now we can see that T is multiplying itself to what? X. That's why we have what? Tx. So if you want X, what do we do? You have to what? Separate them. So in order for you to separate them in mathematics, you say that what? Divide them. So I have Tx on what? T equals A plus B all on what? T. So this one cancels that, right? So I have X being equal to A plus B all on what? T, right? I told that this T is for A, and also this T is for what? B. So maybe you will not find this inside your option. You find A on T plus B on T, which is equal to the same what? X. Is correct. It's correct. So please be very, very vigilant and score 40 on 40. Very, very simple. Very, very simple for change of subjects. Alright, so go through the steps. So let's see this question. Let's see this question. Very, very nice questions. Very, very nice questions we are solving here. So please watch them as we are solving, because you'll be enlightened towards more questions on what? Change of subject. So that when it drops similar question, you can know how to go about it. Alright, so let's see. So here we are making the circled variable the subject, which is what? Y. We are making y the subject. So we have x equals what? Square root of y minus 1 all on what? Y plus 1. X equals square root of y minus 1 all on what? Y plus 1. So now we have two terms here, one term and two terms here. Now we want y. But here we have what? A square root. This relation or this equation contains what? Square root. So how do we do? You have to get rid of what? The square root by what? Squaring what? Both sides of the equation. So square both sides. So square both sides. Square both sides of the equation to remove what? The square what? Root. So I have x all squared equals square root of what? Y minus 1 all on y plus 1 all what? Squared. So now this one takes off that. So I have x squared equals y minus 1 all on what? Y plus 1. Is it cool? Alright, so now this x squared, what's the divisor? The divisor is 1, right? Because 1 multiplied by what will give you x squared is the same thing as what? X squared. Because 1 times x squared gives you what? X squared. So 1 is the what? Divisor or the denominator. Now, we can take the LCM to be what? Y plus 1. Or somebody can say that, okay, then let me do what? Cross multiplication here. So when we are doing the cross multiplication, then it means that this x squared multiply this expression here, y plus 1. So x squared being multiplied by the whole of that expression here, y plus 1, equals 1 is multiplying the expression y minus 1. So it's the same thing as what? Y minus 1. This one is not negative 1, it's what? Positive 1. That's why I'm saying that what? It's the same thing. But if it was negative 1, then it won't be what? Y minus 1. So please be vigilant. Negative 1 is multiplying y minus 1. Then negative 1 times what? Y, right? Then drop your plus, because I said that when you see negative, drop positive. When you see negative, doing multiplication, drop positive so that you can do it very simple. So you drop the positive, then negative 1 is multiplying what? Negative 1, right? So that it will be very, very simple for you. Negative 1 times y gives what? Negative y. Then plus negative times negative, which is what? Positive. So positive 1. So minus y plus 1 can also be written as what? 1 minus what? Y. So it's not the same thing as this place here. It's not the same thing here. So be very, very careful. Be very, very careful. This one, positive 1 is multiplying the whole of this expression. That's why I'm saying that you are getting what? Y minus 1. Same thing as that. So be very, very careful with that. So now we expand the bracket, which is what? X squared multiplying what? Y. Here we don't have negative here, so I drop my positive. Then x squared multiplying 1 again equals y minus what? 1. So now x squared times y, which gives what? X squared y plus x squared times 1 gives what? X squared equals y minus what? 1. Now we want what? Y as the what? Subject. We want y as the subject. We want y as the subject. Now here I can send this negative 1 to the left hand side. Then I'll send what? X squared y to the what? Right hand side. We can do it like that. We all arrive at what? The same answer. That's method 1. Let's see method 1. I'm sending what? Because I said that what? We have to what? You were thinking that I'll bring what? This positive y to what? To the left hand side. It's correct. It's correct. But let me try this method 1 and let's see you all get the same answer. So let me send this x squared y to the what? Right hand side. So I have x squared here equals, then I bring what? Minus 1 to the left hand side, which is what? Positive 1 equals here y, then minus what? X squared what? Y. Right. So I have x squared plus 1 equals, now what we will do here? We have to what? Factorize, because there's y here and also there's what? Y here. So we have to factorize y out. So factorize y out. So now we get what? 1. Then minus what? X squared. I told you that factorization is the reverse of what? Expansion. So it means that when you factorize, make sure that you multiply by what? The variable or the value you factorize. So that to check whether your answer is what? Correct. So now let's check. Y times 1 gives what? Y. Then y times negative x squared gives what? Negative x squared y. So we are correct. So we are through to go. So now I have x squared plus 1, which is equal to y 1 minus x squared. So what should I do here? This expression is multiplying itself towards y. So I have to what? Divide, right? So here 1 minus x squared, then here 1 minus x squared. So this one cancels that, right? So I have y, so it comes to what? The left hand side. Y equals what? X squared plus 1. All on what? 1 minus what? X squared. Or this one, x squared plus 1 is the same thing as what? 1 plus x squared. Why? Because addition is what? Commutative. Addition is what? Commutative. So it's the same thing as that. It's the same thing as that. The same thing as that. Very, very simple. So this one is method 1. Method 1. So let's see method 2. So please watch very carefully. Watch very carefully. Watch very carefully. And let's see method 2. So watch it so that we move on to method 2. So let's see method 2. Now, I'll bring what? This positive y to the what? To the left hand side, right? Then I'll send this x squared to the what? Right hand side. So now, that's method 2. Method 2. Send this one so I get x squared y, then minus y, right? Equals minus 1, then minus x squared. Minus 1, then minus x squared. Alright, so now let's see. Let's maintain our answer and see whether it will tally very well. So that's still method 2. So what will we do? We have to factorize y out. Then we get what? X squared minus what? 1 equals minus 1 minus what? X squared. Are you watching? Alright. So I have y x squared minus 1 equals minus 1 minus what? X squared. Now what do we do here? We have to divide because y is multiplying itself to x squared minus 1. We want y and they are multiplying. So we will divide. So x squared minus 1, then here x squared minus 1. So I have y, this one cancels that. So I have y being equal to negative 1 minus x squared, all on x squared minus 1. Now someone is asking, hey, are they equal? They are not equal. They are not equal. They are not equal. So we are wrong. They are equal. They are equal. Let me show you the reason why I said they are equal. Now, y equals, you can factorize negative 1 out there, or we can factorize negative out. Now, I told you that factorization is the reverse of what? Expansion. So let's factorize negative. When I factorize negative 1, then it means that here remains what? 1. Then here becomes what? Positive what? X squared. If I would factorize -1, then here becomes what? Positive 1. Because I'm taking out what? My negatives. Then if I take out my negatives, then it will remain what? My positives here. Do you understand that? So that's it. Now let's multiply and see whether we'll get back to our expression above. -1 times 1, which is what? -1. -1 times positive x squared, which is what? Negative x squared. So it's the same thing. So when you factorize negative, you get positive. So that when you multiply again by the positive, you get back to your what? To your negative. So here, all on. Here we can factorize negative out. So that's -1 out. Here is positive, right? We are factorizing -1. Then that means that place will be what? Negative x what? Squared. Here is positive. We are factorizing negative out. Then that means here will be what? Negative. Then here is negative. We are factorizing negative. So it will be what? Your what? Positive 1. Are you getting it? When you have positive and you are factorizing negative, you get negative. Then when you have positive and you are factorizing negative, it will be what? Negative there. So here, when you have positive and you are factorizing negative, you get negative. And when you have negative and you are factorizing negative, you get what? Positive. So now, we can see that -1 can cancel what? -1. Do you understand that? So we get equal to what? 1 plus what? X squared, or x squared plus 1. They are the same thing. All on what? Here, minus x squared plus 1 is the same thing as what? Positive 1 then minus x squared. So as we can see, they are what? The same. They are the same. They are the same. No changes. No changes. So in exams, that's that they can drop this inside your what? Inside the options for you. Then you get this, then you are confused. So please don't be confused. Don't be confused here at all. So watch it very carefully. So let's clean it. Let's solve another question. It's question time, so let's solve another question. Let's see. It's very, very simple. He said we should make the variable x the subject. Here we have y is what? Y is the subject here. Y is being made the subject. So we want x as the subject. We want x as the subject. Now it involves what? Square root. 1, 2 times. It involves square root. So what do we do here? We have to what? Square what? Both sides. So now I have square root of what? 3x minus 5 all squared equals what? Y squared. So this square removes what? The square root. So I'll get what? 3x minus 5 equals what? Y squared. So I want x as what? The subject. Now we have 3 times. 1, 2, then 3. So -5 crosses the equal sign, which becomes what? Positive. So 3x is equal to y squared plus what? 5. So now we proceed as that. X is multiplying itself to what? 3. So what do? We divide. So 3x on what? 3 equals y squared plus 5 all on what? 3. Very simple. So I have what? X being equal to what? Y squared plus 5 all on 3. Or somebody can write it as x being equal to y squared on 3 plus what? 5 on 3. Or we can write it as x equals what? 5 plus y squared all on what? 3. Because addition is what? Commutative. Also, we can also write it as what? X equals 5 on 3 plus y squared on 3. So, this, that, and that. They are what? The same. They are the same. They are the same. They are the same. They are true, the same. Very, very simple. Please do all to subscribe to Massa Tutorials. Massa Tutorials. To get more of the GHS mathematics videos. When you are done with change of subject, we are moving on to our next topic, which is substitutions. Substitution. Stay tuned so that you can watch this video very, very well. Alright, so watch it very carefully. So next question. Next question. Next question. So we have y plus square root of x on a equals 1. So we have 3 terms here, right? 1 term, 2 terms, and 3 terms, right? So now, what do we do? What do we do? We want to clear this denominator. So we take the LCM. This one, the divisor is 1. The divisor is also what? 1. So what do we do here? We take the LCM. So the LCM here is what? A, variable A, alphabet A, letter A. So we multiply it by what? Each term. So I have a times y plus a times square root of x all on what? A, right? Equals a times 1 on what? A. So a cancels what? A cancels what? A, right? A times y, we get what? A y. Then plus, here is 1. 1 times square root of x gives what? The same thing, square root of x. Then equals, we have 1. 1 times 1 gives what? 1. We want x. So what do we do? Ay is what? Adding. Ay is adding itself to what? X. That's the addend. This one is the addend. Then this one too is what? Addend. So they are both what? Addend. Right. So we have to what? Send this ay to the what? Right hand side. So I have square root of x being equal to what? 1. Then this one is positive. So when it crosses, minus ay. So now what do? We want x, but not what? Square root of x. So we have to what? We have to square both sides of the equation. So square root of x all what? Squared equals 1 minus ay all squared. So now this one cancels that. So I have x, therefore x equals 1 minus ay all squared. I believe you can do the further simplification for this, which is what? 1 minus ay all squared, right? So it means that I have what? 1 minus ay, then 1 minus what? Ay. I told that what? This 2 is what's affecting the bracket. It means that the bracket will appear how many times? 2 times with what? The expression inside. So now 1 will multiply the whole of this expression here. Then minus ay will multiply the whole of this expression here too. So I have 1 multiplying 1 minus ay. Then minus ay multiplied by 1 minus what? Ay. Right. So 1 times 1, we expand the bracket. 1 times 1 minus, so I said when you see what? Negative drop positive. So positive 1 times what? Minus ay. Then here, drop positive, your plus, which is what? Minus AY times what? 1. Then still drop plus. So plus, you have what? Minus AY multiplying what? Minus AY. So 1 times 1 gives what? 1. Then plus 1 times minus AY is what? Minus AY. Then plus minus AY times 1 is what? Minus AY. Then plus again, AY times AY gives what? AY all what? Squared. AY all squared. Why? Because let's say negative times negative gives what? Positive. We know that. Now AY times AY, which is A is multiplying A. A times A is what? A squared. Y times Y is what? Y squared. So AY times AY is what? AY all squared. Don't write AY squared. The squared, write AY squared. This square is affecting only what? Y, but not A. But when you write AY all squared, it means that, so here we have 1 minus AY minus AY, then plus, it means that A what? Squared, then what? Y squared. The squared is affecting what? A, and also affecting what? Y. Algebraic expression. Don't joke with it. It's very, very serious. Alright, so minus 1 plus minus 1, we get what? Minus 2. So 1 minus 2AY, then plus A squared Y squared. So this one can be equal to what? X. It can be equal to X. Very, very simple. So watch it very carefully. Alright, solving last example on change of subject. Then you have to go and solve more examples to enhance what? Your understanding on this topic. So please do all to solve more examples. Alright. So I have J equals MD all on what? 3. So if you have any problem, drop it at the comment section, then I'll attend to you. Or you can call 05410864889. Alright. So now let's see. D. So J equals what? MD all on what? 3. Now you can see that this one has a divisor of what? 1. That's the variable. J has a divisor of 1. So we can do what? Cross multiplication here, right? So it is J on 1 equals MD all on what? 3. So cross multiplication, right? Or you can take the LCM to go 3, because how many times? 1, 2. Then you multiply each term by what? 3. So somebody can go as 3 times J equals 3 times MD all on 3, as that. Then somebody can do what? Cross multiplication. So J multiplying 3, we have 3 times J equals 1 times MD, right? 3 times J is what? 3J equals 1 times MD gives what? MD. Oh, we are making D the subject. Make D the subject. D the subject. So now we can see that M is multiplying itself to what? D. So how do we get D? We have to what? Separate them by dividing. So we divide each term by what? D. So we divide 3 by what? D. Both sides. 3G all on what? M. Sorry. So we are dividing each term here. We have 2 terms here. So we divide here by what? M. Here also by what? M. Because we want what? D. We want D. Sorry. We want D. So you divide each term left hand side by what? M. Right hand side also by what? M. So MD all on what? M. This one cancels, right? So we have D being equal to what? 3G all on what? M. So therefore D equals what? 3G on M. Here. So that's the first method. That's the first method. Let's see the second method. You can see that this 3 cancels what? 3, right? So I have 3 times G, which is what? 3G equals, this one is 1, because 3 goes into itself 1, then into this one 1. So 1 times ND gives what? ND. So we come back to that. So what do? We are dividing both sides by what? M, because we want D, and they are multiplying, so we divide. But if they are adding, we send 1, or we transpose 1. So I have 3G all on what? M, equals MD all on M. So this one cancels, right? So I have D being equal to 3G all on M. So therefore D equals 3G all on what? M. So as simple as that. Alright, thank you so much. We've come towards an end of change of subjects. Our next topic is substitutions. Substitutions. That's our next topic. What do you mean by substitution? So in place of a variable, when I place, if you have x and you place what? M, you've substituted what? X by what? M. That's what is termed as what? Substitutions. Let's come to the real life situation. If you put your book there, then later on you remove your book and you place what? A pen there. Then that means you've substituted the book by what? The pen. You understand that? Alright. So you've removed the book, then you place what? The pen there. Do you understand that? Alright. So you've substituted what? The book by what? The pen. So in place of that book, put what? Pen. So that means if you have a variable J and you place what? X there, then that means you've substituted J by what? X. Alright. So now, change of subject. So let's give assignment. Let me give you assignment to go and try. So look at this very, very well. Look at them very, very well. So let's start with what? An assignment. Assignment. So you have assignment to go and try on your own. When you are done, drop it at the comment section. Alright. So question 1, I have if P equals KQ and R equals MK all on EQ, comma, express R in terms of M, P, E, and Q. Express R in terms of M, P, E, and Q. I believe I told that to express something, then when you see something as what? Express, then that means you are making R what? The subject. So express R in terms of M, P, E, and Q. Then that means make R the subject. So this question, how will you make R the subject? So when you are done, kindly drop it at the comment section, or you can call me. Alright. Given that P equals x minus 1 on x, and Q equals x squared plus 1 on x, 1 on x squared. Said we should express Q in terms of P. Express Q in terms of what? P. Then question 3. If 1 on x minus 1 on y equals 3 on z, then find an expression for y in terms of x and z. Then we have question 4. Make y the subject here. M on n minus y equals n on m plus y. So that's the homework. That's your home link, your assignment, your home link, your assignment to try. So please do well to try them. It will help you. Then solve more questions to understand more of the change of subject. Alright, we shall meet in our next video for substitutions. Don't miss this wonderful tutorials. Thank you and have a nice day. Massa Tutorials wish you all the best. Bye bye.